Hey guys, so I just got done finishing watching We Summon the Darkness, a new horror movie that's on demand. This was a movie I didn't even know existed until like a few months ago when my local drive-in, like a lot of people, I think a lot of people across the country have noticed this been happening. The only thing theaters that have been open have been the local drive-ins, and they've been playing a lot of like indie movies, a lot of like old movies. Like this week, my theater's playing like Empire Strikes Back and like Evil Dead. Fuck yeah! Like that's like hell yeah! Like Evil Dead and Empire Strikes Back are on two different screens. If you want to know. Anyways, one of the first weeks that my drive-in opened, they announced this was one of the movies they were going to play, and I'm like, "We Summon the Darkness. What the fuck is that?" Looked it up, and I'm like, "Oh, it's a whole new horror movie. I can just watch it on demand on my at my house for like $6. Fuck it, I'll stay at home and watch this, and not go to drive-in. Mainly, I do that because horror movies and drive-ins I try to avoid because it's every time that happens, I go to see a horror movie at the drive-in. It's hard to watch it because usually horror movies are dark movies. Like in the fact that they're shot to be they're shot dark in the dark usually, and it's hard to see usually what's going on in normal circumstances. But then when you watch it, something like that at the drive-in, it's even worse. You can't even tell what's going on sometimes, especially if the whole movie takes place in the dark. So I kind of went into this movie kind of fresh, not knowing much about it. This is going to probably be a recurring theme throughout these reviews for the next few months because there's a lot of movies here that I did not know existed until they popped up out of nowhere. And I saw the plot and I watched the trailer and I kind of got a vague idea what this movie was about, but still kind of was not went in with open eye, like with a fresh open mind about it, not knowing much about it other than what the plot was, what the trailer shows, which is not much. And yeah, honestly, out of the movies that I've seen since all the shit has gone down, since the theaters have closed and all stuff like that, this is one of the better ones I've seen. Not saying that this was the best movie of the year or anything like that, but that this movie didn't have problems. But it's almost not even high praise because, like, most movies I've seen so far since the pandemic happened and everything else, I have been mediocre to okayed at best. And this was fun. I actually kind of had fun with this movie. This movie, if you don't know what the plot is of this movie, it's Alessandra Daddario of she's been in a lot of fucking movies. She's been in Texas Chainsaw 3D, True Detective. More importantly, True Detective. She was in True Detective. And her scene True Detective, if you've seen that first season, you know what I'm talking about. I know that's horribly sexist, and probably people are gonna give me shit for saying that, but I'm a red blood male. But to be fair, what I've seen when I see her in movies, she's usually pretty good. So I never had a problem with her as an actress. But she's the lead in this movie. She's with a group of friends traveling cross country to go to this heavy metal rock concert. And you pretty much get the idea of what this movie's going to be about. Where they're traveling across country, and while they're listening to the radio, you start hearing news stories about this death cult that is wreaking havoc across the country. Apparent death cult that's like wreaking havoc across the country and killing people in these gruesome ways. And they haven't found out who the culprits are and all that stuff like that. And then you also have like a fucking you have like a reverend who is I'll talk about who the Reverend is in a minute, who is very against anti-heavy metal music. Also, this movie takes place in the 80s. And, like, it really didn't need to take place in the 80s, other than the fact the only reason I think it did was because it was during that era when, there was a lot of religious groups and parent groups that were against heavy metal music, and, this kind of like, that's why they put it in this setting. But they go cross country to go to this rock concert, and they meet another group of guys who they decide to invite to a house that Alexander Daddario's dad owns or something like that. And they're all by themselves, and you're like, okay, I see where this is going. This is going to end up being a slasher movie. Even from the trailers, it kind of looked like that's what it was going to be, where it's like these girls have to try to survive against this death cult, because they're not going to mention just this death cult for no reason and stuff like that. But it's not exactly what you think going in. That's why I kind of what I liked about this movie, even though I kind of guessed pretty fucking early on, pretty much from the get-go, what was really going on, especially when like the characters are acting weird, like one of the main girls in the movie, the one friend who is kind of the newcomer of the group of friends between Alexander Daddario and the blonde girl. She's kind of the newbie of the friends, and she is acting weird and hesitant about doing some things with them, and you're like, okay, something weird's going on, and I guess pretty fucking early on what was going on, and it's not hard to figure out. And so when it's finally revealed what is really going on in this movie, it's like, and who the death cult is, you're like, all right. I was like, even though I saw it coming a mile away, I was like, all right, that's kind of fun. I was like, it's kind of a fun twist, and I'm like, I'm interested where this movie's going to go from here. It plays with your expectations. I like that when movies do that, and don't just do the cookie cutter things, even though this movie has some of that in this movie. But like I said, it's still like kind of fun to see a movie go get a little creative in the things that they do with this movie. The cast is fine in this movie. I thought the cast was fine. The preacher, let's talk about the fucking preacher. Alexander Daddario is really good. She plays crazy, and it's kind of funny seeing her try to play crazy. I'm like, this is the first time I've ever seen her try that. And it's like, I don't know how much I take that seriously, but she did alright, I guess. She was fine. She's a good lead actress. Like I said, she's not. There's far worse actresses out there, horror actresses out there. I thought the hesitant girl, I forgot her name. She was in that movie Hellfest. I think she was the lead in Hellfest. She was pretty good. And like, I liked her in Hellfest, and she was pretty good in this. Was easily the most likable of the people in this movie, and she is supposed to be. I did like that, like, at least they didn't make these characters annoying. Like, these characters weren't really overtly annoying. Like, you see in a lot of these movies, the horror movies, where you're like, you just want these characters to fucking die. I did like that. Let's talk about I don't know how many people know one of the casting choices in this movie. The preacher that I was talking about, who throughout the movie, there's a preacher that they keep referencing, who is very against heavy metal music. He keeps doing these sermons about how much he's against heavy metal music and how it's the act of Satan, that this music is the act of Satan, and people that listen to this shit are devil worshippers. Take one wild fucking guess who the preacher is played by in this movie. I guarantee you wouldn't guess it. Johnny fucking Knoxville. What? I remember seeing that and I go, is he playing like the comic relief in this movie? No, he's like a psychotic, crazy preacher. That was fun. It was like, it's like, this is becoming a trend like a lot more nowadays than it was like a few years ago, where a lot of these comedic actors are trying to branch out and do different things, and I actually appreciate that. I'm not against that. Like, we got the performance like Adam Sandler. Adam Sandler is a fucking great actor. I think he's a better actor than a comedian, honestly. And he's a really fucking good actor. Like, one of my favorite performances of all time from Robin Williams. Honestly, my favorite performance of his of all time is 1 Hour Photo. That was fucking terrifying. But like, between this and like Kevin James and Becky, which I have not seen yet, it's like it's interesting. He's like, well, this is like, I was interested in how this. He's fine, and he's not barely in this movie, but he's fine. It's just kind of is goofy seeing like Johnny Knoxville trying to be intimidating. It is really fucking funny. Like, what the fuck? And like, he's doing this very seriously. But you know, like, it was fine. I didn't mind it at all, but it was like, he was trying. I don't know how much him being menacing would. This movie features a pretty fucking fun scene where they used I'm not making this up. There's this scene that towards the end of the movie, there was a final battle between the villains and the heroes, where it's set to heaven is a place on earth. I was like, that's funny. I was like, of course they played something like that in this movie. I'm surprised it took them that long to do it. This movie, I don't know. The best way to describe this movie is, if you want to know what the twist is, it's basically this movie turns into Red State. Remember that movie Red State that Kevin Smith made? It basically turns into that, in which I kind of expected that. If you want to know what, I'm still not going to spoil what is really going on, but you can figure it out. Like I said, you probably will figure it out if you watch enough movies like I have. If there's any complaints, I thought the ending to this movie was anticlimactic as fuck. It was. I thought it really was. There's like a death of like one of the main villains of this movie that just seemed so lame. I was like, that was really lame. I was like, that's it? Really? Even though they do kind of come back and they get another big comeuppance moment, but still, I was like, that was kind of fucking stupid. There was a couple of villains in this movie. Even the one of the other main villains of this movie gets a really fucking stupid death where involves some of the worst CGI fire I've ever seen in my entire life. It is really fucking bad. Like, it's laughably bad. It distracted me from the fucking scene. It was that bad. But yeah, it was nice. I like this movie. It's fun. I'm not trying to. It's a movie that's hard to talk about without spoiling it, so I'm really trying to, really hard. It's like, what really happened, what's really going on in this movie is pretty much revealed within a half hour into this movie. It's not like you had to wait a long time. You know, it's pretty much about 30-40 minutes in this movie. You find out what's really going on. And it gets interesting from there. Like, at first it's like, I don't know about this movie. Like, this just seems like a stereotypical slasher movie, and I was like kind of bored a little bit. But then once I started figuring out what was going on, okay, now you got me a movie. I'm interested. Like I said, the ending was kind of anticlimactic, I thought, but like I said, other than that, I thought it was fine. Yeah, I recommend Read Summon the Darkness. It's on YouTube. It's on demand. You can watch it anywhere. It's like probably about $6. I still gotta do a review for The Wretched. I have that up next. I got that in my queue to fucking watch. That's on demand. And until then, I will talk to you guys later.